Males of Reddit, what's your creepy girl story? Story 1. So here's a creepy picked up by a girl story. I was in a bar having a beer and this girl starts talking to me. She seems okay, but the bar is dark. Hard to tell. She asks me if I want to go out to her truck and smoke something. I say yes. When we wander out of the bar, the bright lights outside illuminate her face in a disturbing way. I ignore what I'm seeing. She says, "So where is your car?" I say, "I thought we were going to your truck." She says, "No, we're going to your car." Okay, I can deal with this. We get to my car and she says, "Where is the smoking thing?" I say, "I thought you had it." She says, "No, take me home." Okay, I can deal with this. So I start driving her home. As I'm driving, she starts rambling. "You can do the thing with me. You can do anything you want to me." Okay, maybe I can deal with this. As we approach her apartment, she says, "I sure hope my boyfriend isn't home." Oh God, can I deal with this? She points to a convenience store and says, "Pull in there and go buy me a 12-pack of beer." I say, "I'm not buying you a 12-pack. So she gets out of the car to buy beer. I definitely cannot deal with this. Slam the car into reverse and race off into the night. I don't go back to that bar for a year. Creepy girl. Story 2. She wasn't invited but tagged along with friends who were and came to my buddy's house for our friend's birthday party. We all got drunk, hopped and pushed people into the pool, had a good old time. The next morning, my friend, the birthday boy, was awakened by this chick on top of him. She either played with him mildly enough to not wake but just excite him, or took advantage of his morning excitement. But either way, she sleep-awed my friend on his birthday and proceeded to soak the couch in piss. This was one expensive couch, mind you, before leaving without saying a word. A week or so goes by, she's claiming she's pregnant and needs abortion money. Friend reached out to our friend group for advice. Turns out she had been known to our drunk guys, and in fact it happened to another friend of ours, whom she also asked for abortion money. 4 years later, she's got 3 DUIs and nobody knows how many guys she has taken advantage of or scammed out of fake abortion money. Story 3. I dated this girl one summer during high school. She seemed nice enough and we kinda hit it off at a church function. Until my summer schedule started. I went from working evening at a local fast food joint to working overnights and I guess she couldn't cope. She would call my house and accuse my mom of lying for me and demand she tell her where I really was. She'd drive by all night and would even wait for me to get home at 6 or 7, still in my work uniform, and accuse me of cheating. Eventually, she would start calling me every hour or so at work, which as you can imagine, my managers just loved. She did not take the break at well, threatening to end herself. She threatened to end me, and she threatened to kill my dog. When I started dating a coworker towards the end of the summer, she threatened her too. Story 4. Lied about being married and wore a ring on her ring finger as proof of being married as a means of showing interest and trying to provoke me to cuckold a man that doesn't exist. Before I play the video further, can I ask you something? Can you please subscribe? 99% of people who watch me are not subscribed. So can you please subscribe, like now? Thank you. She also sent a text to someone else right in front of me where I could easily see and clearly about me. It was about how he can't court a woman in another attempt to provoke me to somehow be interested in her. Never mind the fact that she already made herself out to be a bullcrapper and someone to avoid. Story 5. I was a hood cleaner back in the day. You know, restaurant hoods over grills and fryers. Anyhow, I was supposed to clean the hoods at a Hardee's in northern Iowa one night. Normally we get there at closing and the manager sticks around till we're done. Well, we get there at closing and the person staying is a terrifyingly large woman with Mimi-esque makeup and chipper shredder teeth. She kept making small talk and over the next 5 hours we were there, Chuck called 2 of her friends to come hang out too. Not a big deal until we started to clean up. Then she started draping herself over our equipment and started making aggressive sexual comments. My employees started getting freaked out and I was also. Finally, with me not even getting the paperwork signed, we were able to leave with her yelling, You guys are hot and I want to do you at our truck as we left the parking lot at 4 a.m. Fast forward a couple months and we're scheduled to go back there. I make a special request that she not be there. We are assured she isn't scheduled to work that night. Didn't stop her from showing up and making disgusting comments about making us excited or her taking both of us. I tell the manager we cannot continue the service and he'll need to find an alternate vendor as we won't put ourselves through that kind of treatment. The next day, I get called by my boss about a complaint he just got about sexually assaulting a woman at a Hardee's in northern Iowa. Complaint said I was calling the woman at home, and when I got to the restaurant, I was taking my pants off. I called the manager at that location and got the whole story. Turns out this woman had a history of assaulting service guys at that restaurant. She chased their pest control guy out, and the franchise guys refused to go to that restaurant. In the end, she got fired, and I got creepy mail and phone calls for 6 months. Story 6. Blocked her number because she would text me every day, and when I refused to reply anymore after telling her I didn't want to talk. 2 years later, I unblocked it out of curiosity, and she's still texting me daily. I sure hope I never run into her in person again. Edit, just woke up to see this blow up. Guess it's time to unblock her number to see if she sends a text today. Edit 2. There it is, boys. Another text. Story 7. Went out once after being matched online. Didn't work out. She kept calling during dates with other guys and asking them to tell me I was an idiot to pass her up. After no calls for a few months, she called crying and asking me to tell her current boyfriend that we didn't have intercourse. She put him on the phone and he asked me directly. Of course, the answer was no, we didn't. But he responded with, then why is she always hitting you up? I just hung up. She called 37 more times, but I didn't answer. Edit, I'm not even a catch. I didn't get another date for like a year after. Story 8. This was grade 9 and I still shudder thinking about it. She was a sort of parasite that fed off of attention. She was leached onto a friend of mine, but decided to start sucking the life out of me after I was nice to her, by which I mean I acknowledged her presence. He tried to warn me about her, but I didn't listen. The first day after I met her, I began to experience what it's like to be stalked by her. She was a social vampire, in the way that she would stand behind me until I acknowledged her existence, at which point she would immediately pull a chair up, push my friends out of the way, and would begin talking to me exclusively. If I tried talking to anyone else, she would insert herself into the conversation and try to make it about her again. She also liked horses, a lot, like a weird amount. People make jokes about horse girls, but she made this stereotype look like some real coward crap. She kept asking me to look at her drawings, and I eventually relented because I was too kind to tell her to piss off. I should have. She liked to draw what she called miximals, which were just mixes and matches of animals. Not a bad concept, right? Except all the animals she mixed had horse parts. And throbbing, gigantic horse excitements. The first one she showed me was a horse with 8 spider legs and a giant horse excitement. It sat underneath the spider horse like a stinger, one I'm sure she regularly pretended was stabbing her. When I went home, she added me on Facebook on 3 separate accounts, all with different names. On her main, she started talking to me about how she was super soaked, and about her habits while simultaneously sending me pictures of bad stuff. On the other accounts, she pretended to be other people from school to talk to me about herself, and try to see if I was interested in her. I actually didn't realize it was her until a few days in, when I asked a friend why he was being so weird and talking about her so much. And the best part? This was all in a 24-hour period. And it didn't matter at all how many times I told her that I effing hated her guts, she wouldn't go. Every day she would try to talk to me or try to add me on different account because I blocked her, or she would give me surprise hugs from behind. She only left when she got bored of me and attached herself to someone else. She still scares me. I felt genuinely threatened by her. Story 9. Years ago, I had a roommate whose fiancé abruptly ended their relationship. The few days after they ended it, she would show up to my work. I worked retail at the time, looking for me. At the time, I wasn't sure why she kept trying to talk to me, but I never really liked her and she really messed my roommate up by ending the relationship with no explanation. I would constantly hide in the stockroom to avoid her, so she began waiting by my car for my shifts to end. I would usually wait it out until someone working would give me the all clear, but after a few days I lost my patience and just decided to walk to my car. She was there. She confessed her love for me. I said no thanks, got in my car and left. We randomly run into each other around town and always make awkward eye contact before I realize it's her. Story 10. My first girlfriend had a rough home life, and when I tried to break up with her, she said she would end herself, so I backpedaled. This happened multiple times until one of her friends confided in me that she bragged about it to her because she hates being single and was trying to date other people until he was replaced before breaking up with him. Story 11. My ex-wife is definitely the creepiest girl I've ever known. She once told me she stood over her dad while he was sleeping with a knife and fantasized about ending him, literally had the knife at him before the younger sister walked in. Then she said she liked to watch me sleep. She also said after marrying me that I was only supposed to be a practice boyfriend. She said she wanted to draw on my back, so I let her, and after I fell asleep she got bored just drawing, so she pulled a razor blade and tried tracing her drawing. She also put in a few piercings when I was drunk. Despite all the nutty things she did when we were together, there's still nothing compared to the hell she's put me through once we split. Story 12. Oh boy, it all started in elementary school, when this weird girl took a liking to me. She'd follow me around at recess, and if I wanted a recess to myself, I would have to outrun her and lose her. Kept me in shape. She was a year or two ahead of me, and as soon as she was able, she'd be a teacher's assistant in my class when she could. She'd be watching me from across the room and would pass notes to me asking if I'd marry her when I grew up. She also came to my mom's house a few times and left notes on the windows. Fast forward to high school, where we landed in the same film arts class. I was usually the cameraman, but when I was in the editing room, there she'd be. She had a face like the man in the moon, round, blank, and gave you the sense that you might look out your window one night and see it looking back in at you. She'd be looking at me from across the room, inching her chair closer and closer, and complimenting me on virtually everything. She likes my clothes, jewelry, hair, and eventually, she wants to kiss me and date me. I was an awkward teenager, so I just dropped lots of hints that I wasn't interested, which she either didn't understand or just didn't give a damn. One day she basically cornered me in a doorway and said she was going to kiss me. I was in such a position that I could only either take the kiss or physically push her away from me. I didn't know how to react at the time, so I pretty much did a combination of both. Another day, I was biking to school and she was sitting at the base of a telephone pole at the end of my street, looking at me as if she was expecting me to come that way. I thought it through and realized that she must have followed me home from school, then gotten up at the crack of dawn, come back to my street and waited to see when I'd be leaving. This happened a few times and I didn't tell anyone because I thought my family would make fun of me. We've both been out of school for a few years and she hasn't given up yet. She's found me on Facebook and messaged me a few times, saying she's tired of being single and would I ever date her. I've rejected her as clearly as I can and I hope it sticks. She definitely has autism or something, and maybe she just can't let go of that childhood crush or can't process rejection. I hope she gets the help she needs. What was really infuriating was when I went to my family for advice. They were all like, "Oh, she likes you, and you should give her a chance. We need to teach our sons and daughters that stalking people is not okay." Story 13. Oh, my first blind date set up by friends. I was 22. I can't remember if I just graduated or was about to. So either late 21 or just turned 22. I picked her up because she doesn't drive. Find out she's a sophomore in college. My alma mater, cool. I was surprised I'd never seen her before because it wasn't a large university and she was cute as hell. Fast forward maybe 2 or 3 hours, we just wrapped up dinner and a stroll in a park downtown. Everything went well, and we're walking to a comedy club. She is saying things really weird now, like how happy she is that she met someone like me, about the places she wants to honeymoon at, how many kids we would have, and how beautiful they'd be if we were married. Now, she was a looker and really fun to hang out with, but who talks about these kind of things after knowing a person for several hours? Red flags. Cut later into the evening and we're walking to the house I shared with a few roommates. Our place was maybe a block from the comedy club, college neighborhood. She stops me and we kiss for a bit. She's for real acting and talking like we've been long-time lovers now. I make the decision to suggest I take her home. It's getting late, but she insists on coming home with me. I pocket dial my friend. Oh, I'm getting a call. I play it like he needs me for something. He's all high giggling and saying stupid crap as he realizes what must be happening. Now it turned for the worse in a big way. She gets angry, accusing me of being gay and how she never should have come on this date, etc. So she storms off. 15 minutes later, I'm in my house laughing and chatting with my roommates about my date, and the back door opens. Guess who walks in? I knew it, she screams. Cue me trying to calm down this crazy girl while my friends are laughing and taking pictures. Eventually her friend comes and gets her. Alicia, if you're out there, I hope you found love. Story 14. I had a month-long relationship with someone who was a tad unstable. Every other day during the relationship, she would be incredibly sad. Girl had some intense mood swings. She would be lovey-dovey one day, and the next loud and argumentative. I probably let it last too long, looking back on it now. Anyways, I broke it off, and the next day she showed up at my job and said to my boss she was my wife, and that something happened with our daughter. Well, when she walked up to me, she pulled out a knife and tried to stab me. Luckily, we have decent security at my job, and someone tackled her and restrained her until police showed. She ended up getting charged and now has some jail time. The security guy and I are good friends now. We play cards on the weekends. Story 15. I'm not sure if this is creepy or just weird. When I was in my early 20s, I used to have real bad insomnia. I could easily still be up at 4 a.m. and still not feel tired. Anyways, this one night, must have been 1 or 2 a.m., I was just sitting at the computer looking online and stuff, trying to get sleepy when there's this knock at the door. Pretty weird to get someone at the door at that time, but I figure maybe it's an emergency from one of my neighbors. On one side we had like a house where several people with Down syndrome lived, with a care of sorts, so I figured I should answer just in case. So anyway, I answered the door and there's this random girl I'd never met and didn't recognize at all. She was dressed in everyday clothes, not like someone who'd been out to the pub or whatever, just jeans and a hoodie, and doesn't seem to be intoxicated in any way. She says she was told there was a party at my house, but I told her there wasn't. There was just me home alone trying to get tired enough to sleep. So she asks if she can use my phone. Always wanting to believe the best in people before real adult cynicism set in, I invite her in and show her the phone. She kinda dials numbers, which looked more like she pushed numbers at random, and waited for someone to answer. Note, I have no idea if she actually called someone or if it was an act. After about 10 minutes of this, she gives up and claims she's actually homeless. Now, not to try and stereotype or anything, but her appearance didn't suggest she'd been sleeping rough at all. Her clothing was casual style but not grubby, frayed, or worn out in any way, so I was kinda suspicious, but okay. I googled the nearest shelter and there was one about a mile away. Certainly walking distance, so I agreed to walk her there. It was the middle of the night after all. On the walk, she starts trying to hold my hand, stroke my arm, that kind of thing, until we get to the end of the street where the shelter was. She says she's in love with me and we should go back to my place, etc. I'd known her for less than an hour and never talked to her or seen her before that night, so I'm a little freaked out and tell her I'm not interested, and that I'm seeing someone. An obvious lie since I'm home alone looking at video game forums at 2 a.m. on a Friday night. I point down the street and tell her the shelter is down that way, and that I need to go home now. She finally leaves me but walks off in the opposite direction, and I just walk home via a different route, in case she followed me, hoping she might have forgotten which way we came. I was mostly just confused, not really as creepy as other stories here, but it sticks out as one of the creepier experiences I've had with a girl. Never saw or heard from her again. Too long didn't read. Random girl knocks on my door in the middle of the night, claims there's a party at my house, claims she's homeless, claims she loves me, and disappears into the night. These were definitely some creepy events, but thank you so much for watching. If you have stories of your own, feel free to write them below in the comments so I can make a video on them in the future. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you liked it. I'll see you in the next one.